Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty here with a review of Batman, the Telltale series. So, I am someone who has played a lot of Telltale games. This was one of the few I actually hadn't played. I think the only other one is Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm very familiar with, their positive points and their flaws. I'm also something of a Batman fan. Like, I grew up watching the animated series, but I don't remember too many of the episodes. And like the characters I probably know the most about would be like Harley Quinn, Baby Doll, and Mr. Freeze, because those are my favorites. And like I knew of the other villains, but like I never knew like the backstory, too much of the backstory of like Two-Face or Penguin. I knew a bit about the Joker's backstory, but so like I more or less know the characters in the world and whatnot. So I'd seen and heard some things about this game that made me really excited to play it, even though, I'm fully expecting Telltale's typical your choices don't actually matter, which I'm more than a little sick of. There's a dog barking in the background. I don't know where that's coming from. So, where to even start with this? Y'all know the drill story wise. You are Bruce Wayne, who is also Batman. Your parents died when you were a kid, shot outside a movie theater. You were raised by your butler, Alfred. In this version of events, you are helping to fund the campaign of your friend, Harvey Dent, who Batman fans will know as Two-Face, a villain. And I don't want to spoil too much, but that's the basic gist of it. Just trying to protect Gotham from bad guys. And, So, where to start? Let's talk about. I guess we'll just jump right in with, do your choices matter? So, I feel like I would overwhelmingly say no, as usual, but it feels like there aren't a lot of places where they could matter. Like with like The Walking Dead and like Game of Thrones, characters are dying left and right, bad things are happening left and right, and it's just like, could I have prevented this? But with the stuff that's happening in Batman, a lot of it feels like it wouldn't really be changeable, because some of it's like so grand scale that it's hard to imagine how any of your actions could have changed it. And there are some different things that can play out. Like you can get a couple of different scenes and you get some choices to confront people as Batman or Bruce Wayne, and these can lead to different scenes, but not necessarily anything that matters in the long run. I do kind of wish that it felt like your relationships with characters mattered more. It does with a few people, I think, but just not enough to really satisfy me. I did actually somewhat like the story. I think some of the villains really needed more screen time. And a bit felt unresolved, although I know there is a second season, so we'll see what gets picked up and what doesn't. But I did like the characters. The QTEs, the battling, I thought was fine. Like the QTEs in this game are overall really forgiving. Like if you have to like press the X button, because I played on PS4, if you have to like press the X button, it will like form into existence in a way that makes you realize you need to press X before it happens. And if you press the wrong button, you don't. As long as you eventually press the right button, it's fine. Whether you like or dislike that is entirely up to you. The amount of times I accidentally press the wrong button, it's probably for the best. Although I don't think there were really any penalties for failing QTEs, like you just get a game over. The only QTE I had a problem with was the one where you have to aim your crosshairs into a circle and press R2. Because I found that the crosshairs in this game moved way too fast for me. Like, even when you're examining, like you use the left joystick to move around, I think it was, and then the right joystick to move your crosshairs to examine things. And it's like I can see the circle I need to get the crosshairs on, and I keep missing it. Like I'm going past it, and it's really annoying. So that was something of a frustration. But really the big problem with this game is that technically it is a disaster. Like, again, I played this on PS4, and I just beat it last night, so I played it recently, and it's been out for years. There are so many issues with this game. Like, it, it's insane. Like, because I played the earlier Telltale games on my Vita, and so lag was nothing new. There wasn't too much of a lag issue here, but there were in the later episodes just some really bad frame rate drops where everything would like move in slow motion. And those didn't last long, but they existed. And then even in the first episode, I noticed that like there was someone who said something and there were subtitles, but the character never actually spoke. And then it happened again and again and again. And basically all throughout season 1, there is unspoken dialogue. There are entire conversations that are not voiced. There's like several phone calls where only the person who's on screen can be heard speaking. Like it cuts to the other person and then finally they're talking and then mid-sentence it cuts back to me and they're not talking anymore. There were times when there were no subtitles. Thankfully, never when there was no audio, but yeah, play this game with subtitles if you play it. There were also, there were moments where sound effects wouldn't play. Like, it's raining, I don't hear any rain. There's a character riding a motorcycle, I can't hear the motorcycle. And, like, you never really think about the background music in games. At least, I don't. Like, half the time I'll beat a game and it's like, wait, there was music? Because it completely went over my head. It's mostly with, like, the types of games I play. Like, RPGs are obviously an exception, but, like, horror games and, like, Telltale games, the music is it's typically a little bit more understated. Here, it's noticeable. Like, you want to gain an appreciation for the people that do background music, play this game, because the amount of scenes where no background music plays and you're just like, is it supposed to be quiet? Like, I'm having a fight scene, I feel like there should be music playing. And it's funny because one of the fight scenes takes place in like a bar and one of the thugs goes over to like a jukebox and he's supposed to be turning on music, but there's just nothing. And it doesn't stop at sound either. There's a character who smokes, and their cigarette smoke looks... I don't even know how to describe it. It's like this big blocky white... It looks like something from a Minecraft game. And there were issues with like characters missing features. I heard other people experience this a bit more, but I think experienced it with like a receptionist where the entire back of her head was missing. And it's just like, what's happening? Are you okay? There was another scene where a character was invisible, like just not there. Like we're talking to them, and you can tell where they're supposed to be, but they're just not there. And it was just really weird. There were weird focus issues that started in like episode 4, I think, where like one character would be in focus and then like everyone and everything else would be obscenely blurry. And I realized pretty quickly that this was not intentional, because the circumstances at the time when it started, you could maybe have written it off, but it continues throughout, all the way throughout the 4th episode and the 5th. And just, wow. Like, I don't even know what else to say in that regard. I cannot believe they released the game like this and that they never patched it despite how bad these issues are. I also had times where, like, my choices, at least in terms of something the other characters would say, would be not counted. Like, there's a part where you get to decide how rough you are with a thug, and I wasn't rough with them at all, didn't do a thing to him. But even though, like, the choice was there on the end screen, like, oh, you didn't hurt the thug or whatever, Alfred's like, you practically killed that man, and it's like, no, I didn't. And, like, the characters would keep doing and saying stuff at times that kind of indicated that maybe they were responding to a different choice that I did not make. So, yeah, just so many problems. I'm like sitting here wondering, like, did I miss one? I do actually have my gallery open on my PS4. I think I more or less got them all. But just, yeah. It was so many problems. Ugh. So what else can I say? Like, I don't know how to rate this game overall because of that. Like, I didn't hate it. And I have like a fondness for some of the characters, like, Alfred. Alfred is always great. I did like the fight sequences. I thought they were cool, despite the lack of sound for all of them. I like Harvey. I hate that that there's not enough development for the characters, and I have a feeling, despite there being a season 2, that a lot of these characters aren't coming back. And I do think that's a bummer. So it's like I can't recommend the game with all the issues alone, because it's just like, oh yeah, there were crashes too. Not commonly. I think it happened like twice. Like one time I was just sitting on the menu because I was letting my controller charge and the game crashed. So yeah, just very, very frustrating. And like, this was before Telltale went under, so I don't know why they never patched this. And I did read people were experiencing these problems on PC, on Xbox, so it's not even just PS4. So yeah, like I can't recommend it because of those issues. Issues aside, I don't think it's a terrible game. Like I said, some characters needed more development, but I still do think that it was a fairly enjoyable experience getting to like decide how your Batman was. So I think I'll move on to spoilers now. A big part of this will basically just be me saying what choices I made and whatnot throughout the episode, and just talking about the episodes. So if you haven't played the game and plan to, maybe click away for now. So the first episode is Realm of Shadows, where we focus mostly on, trying to help our buddy Harvey Dent become mayor and also not become a supervillain. Not that Bruce Wayne knows that, but we know. And a mob boss shows up, and it's not considered one of the big choices, but I did shake the mobster's hand, because it's like, he's a guest in my home, and you gotta play nice. Don't aggravate mobsters unless you can help it. Oh, yeah, I think we actually started as a Batman fight sequence. That was a slightly forgettable sequence. I feel bad for that guard that died though. But so yeah, we're at our manor political party. We have a meeting with the mobster. I let Harvey into the meeting because Harvey is my buddy, and we don't treat our buddies like garbage. But like, he's such a big, intimidating guy, but he's actually like not super brave, which is actually one of his big character flaws that comes into play later, unfortunately for him. So we also meet Bruce's childhood friend, Oswald Cobblepot, which is apparently the Penguin. I never knew anything of the Penguin's backstory. I don't know if the Penguin is actually Bruce's friend in real life, or like outside of this. It's an interesting take on the character, just based on what I know of the Penguin from all other media. But he's the one who I feel really doesn't get enough screen time. Like, it's an interesting take on the character, but we just don't see enough of him. And if you choose later on to confront him first, you don't even get like the childhood flashback that shows them together. I think they could have done a lot more with this character. But anyway. Glance at my choices again. Oh yeah, I also kicked Vicky out of the party. Because, no reporters. Vicky is a character I also did not know. Apparently she's a regular in the Batman continuity, but I didn't know nothing about her. So people start saying nasty stuff about my family. I'm not cool with that. But I did end up, taking the lead and giving Vicky a quote. Because you have to get out ahead of these situations. I hated that we couldn't really give a more neutral quote. Like, I wanted to say something like, I intend to investigate this to the best of my ability. But you can't really do that. I forget what exactly I said. I think it was like that whoever made these allegations would pay or something, or we get justice for my family. It was very confusing. Oh my gosh, it was still recording. I hit pause. Pause did not work. Ugh. One of the, like, this is a good software, but I swear sometimes it does not pause when I tell it to. I had it on pause that whole time, so we got a bunch of dead air that I'm gonna have to try and cut out later. Um, so, anyway, after this, we again run into Catwoman in her non-Catwoman form. She's a woman named Selena Kyle, and apparently she's in a relationship with Harvey, which I don't like, because you know she's just using him. And it's like, Harvey, you're too good for her. Just date me instead. Don't date her. So, we know each other's identities. We figure them out, like, immediately. And we end up going to a warehouse and interrogating a criminal. And I don't hurt the criminal at all, but I already talked about this. That's the choice, where they're like, oh yeah, you roughed that thug up. And then we end up getting a bunch of information about the evil mobster guy from the beginning, and we have to decide whether we want to give it to the reporter, Vicky, or give it to not quite Commissioner Gordon yet. And it's like, I struggled a bit with this choice, because it's like my instinct is give it to Gordon, because that's just Commissioner Gordon, right? He's the trustworthy one. And like, I don't know Vicky from a hole in the ground. Plus, I feel like if we try and give it to her, we'd put her in danger. I also did feel like if we gave it to Gordon, that, you know, maybe he wouldn't be able to do anything with it, because, like, the mobster has hands in the police. But I ended up going with Gordon in the end, and made it clear to him, like, you know, I'm not just doing this with my, to like, get you off my back or anything. So, next episode is Children of Arkham. And we got Falcone in the hospital, and us. Well, he's not like, I don't think. Oh yeah, he was injured. I forgot. We had that big thing where we beat up his men. Completely forgot about that. Wasn't a super memorable moment. I also showed him mercy. Like, I guess you like. Can you not kill him? I kind of felt like the other option was to kill him, but either way, I didn't kill him. So this is the scene where it's raining and there's no rain sound. And we realize our father was up to shady things, and Alfred knew. But I didn't hold it against Alfred, because, like, Alfred's a good man. He's been there for us. It's like, what terrible person would say something mean to Alfred? So, we're able to visit Falcone with Harvey's help. And I chose to ease his pain with morphine, because it's like we're trying to get information, and, you know, our friends are putting their necks on the line so we could have this meeting, so let's not, you know, do bad things and get them in trouble. And then Officer Montoya just comes in and shoots him. And apparently she's been drugged, and nobody calls out these strange markings on her face. It's like something is clearly wrong with her. But, you know, let's not address it. So, let's see what happened next. There's another thing. This pause feature is just going all over the place. Like, sometimes it will not pause when I hit the button, other times it will. Should just do the key version. But, so we meet with Selena at a bar, and some, the Penguin's people come after her, because the Penguin is one of the bad guys in this, shockingly. And we have a bar fight together, with no music, because of glitches. For those curious, I did offer to buy the dude in the bar drinks. I'm surprised that didn't go hostily, because you always expect things to get hostile in that kind of situation. So then we decide, okay, we're going to go visit Mayor Hill, and it's like, do we go as Bruce, or do we go as Batman? And I ended up going as Bruce, just because it seemed smarter. Like, I had a feeling something bad was going to happen, and I feel like if Batman's there, Batman will get blamed. Like, I don't want Bruce Wayne to get blamed either, but I don't know, it just felt right to go as him. But he tried to get me to defund Harvey's campaign. It's like, I'm not gonna do that. I'm Team Harvey this entire playthrough. I'm not even gonna lie about it. Like, I can't do something like that. So I ended up not really getting any information. But our dad is apparently not a good guy. So that sucks. And we go to the debate to try and stop the bad guys, who are apparently headed by... They're called the Children of Arkham, and they're headed by a person. This person is apparently called Lady Arkham, but they never said their name. Like, I don't know if they're supposed to or what. Like, the name Lady Arkham is at no point stated. This villain is never given a name, and I don't think they would want to reveal that the villain's a girl. So, I don't know. But... So, we end up at the debate, and the mayor and Harvey are both drugged with this thing that makes them, like, more prone to giving into their emotions, and they're both questioned, and the mayor is just like, I want to incinerate the poor. So I'm pretty sure he's losing the election. But then Harvey, sweet Harvey, is just like, I believe in this city, and I want to help people. And it's like, he's such a good person. And even though Mayor Hill is an entirely terrible bad guy, like, Harvey even tries to save him. Like, we see this video, this really horrible video, of our father and Mayor Hill having Oswald's mom drugged into, like, permanent insanity just so they could steal her land. And it's just, like, such an awful thing to do to someone. But even seeing that, Harvey still tries to save the mayor. He gets knocked out pretty fast, though. He's not a fighter, that man. And Penguin kills Mayor Hill, and nobody's really all that sad about it. But then he decides he's gonna try and smash a stage light on Harvey's head, even though Harvey has done nothing wrong. And Catwoman is also in danger, and the game's like, who do you want to save? And it's like, well, save Harvey, obviously. I mean, for one thing, like, I really don't care that much about Selina, but also she's shown herself to be a pretty competent fighter. Like she can handle herself. Harvey can't. He's a civilian. And, you know, again, I know the Batman lore, and anything heat-related going for his face is bad. So I saved Harvey. He doesn't get his face burned, because I know that's the alternative. If you save Selina, his face gets really messed up, which he doesn't deserve that. And, yeah, so Catwoman survives, but she gets, like, shot. And I swear, in further episodes, she has no gunshot wound at all. Like, not even, like, a bandage. So that's kind of weird. Oh, also, completely forgot to mention it, but after the bar fight, I did not kiss Selina. Like, first, I'm not that kind of person. Like, I'm not just gonna kiss someone I just met and I don't really know. Also, she's dating someone else who also happens to be my best friend. That's not how I roll. Oh yeah, I should also mention, it's not considered a main choice, but in the warehouse in, like, episode 1, I did meet with Gordon instead of just leaving, because it's like, we gotta tell the cops about this. So anyway, episode 3, New World Order. So yeah, all sorts of things are going crazy. We talk with Harvey, and we learn that he's apparently got some psychological issues that drug might have brought to the surface. Because that's one of the big issues people have with this game, is that even if his face never gets injured, because you can have him survive this game with no physical issues at all, but he'll still end up becoming Two-Face mentally. I think people don't realize is that Harvey Dent always had psychological issues. His face getting damaged just brought those to the surface. Even without the facial injuries, he's got the drug in his system, he's coping with his own weakness, and the stuff at the debate, you know, failing to save Hill, nearly getting killed, and then the constant assassination attempts and the threats of the Children of Arkham, it all just starts to break him down, and that's why he ends up becoming Two-Face anyway. So, like, I can't really fault Telltale for that, since, like, it makes sense. But anyway, so we meet with Gordon, and we learn that Officer Montoya, the woman who tried to shoot us, by the way, after we stop Falcone, she's like, great, thanks for stopping him. Now we just have to get one of you. And she shoots at us, and I'm like, what are you doing? But so she quit the force or something. No, I don't think she was. I think she was put on leave. So she decides, I'm going to go to the Children of Arkham's warehouse all on my own. And then she, of course, gets in over her head. And then we also learn that Harvey Dent is in trouble. And he's being chased on the road by some bad people. And my first instinct was actually to go help out the cops because that's why Gordon called me. But, I'm Team Harvey. So I went to save Harvey. And, thinking about it, Montoya did this to herself. Not that I still don't want to save her, but, she made this choice. What were you thinking? You know better than this. You were not, on duty and you went to chase after these people on your own. You put yourself and your teammates in danger by doing this. So yeah, I saved Harvey. He was super appreciative. We go to the police thing, but we're too late to really do any good. Montoya has the nerve to be mad at us, even though she caused this. She's invisible in this scene, by the way. But she does end up giving Gordon her badge, because she at least realizes that what she did was her own doing. And things continue to get worse for us. We get into our company and they want to replace us as CEO. And it's like, oh, the company's already decided on your replacement. And it's like, boy, I wonder who it's going to be. And we know it's going to be Oswald. And it is Oswald. And he continues to be a jerk. And, again, it was his mom that got drugged. And I feel bad for him. But, I'm not my father. People need to stop blaming me for stuff. And you can choose to punch him after he damages your property. I didn't. I held back. Because it's this isn't going to help my image. So I'm just going to play nice. And we go and see Harvey in his office after this, and yeah, Harvey's talking to himself and he's sounding a little paranoid, and that's not a good sign. Oh yeah, I forgot about Lucius. Lucius is the guy who does our tech, and he works at Wayne Enterprises, and after we get removed as CEO, we can choose to have him come work for us at the Batcave or stay as a spy. I had him come work for us, because it's I don't want you sticking around this place, you're going to be in danger. So he comes with us, and then we go visit Harvey. And we try and communicate with Vicky, trying to get information out of her. We had run into her in the police station after Falcone got shot, and I refused to give her any info then. Because it's that officer was drugged, so I'm not gonna give you any information. And I don't know, it's really suspicious that she knows that she was able to get an interview with the lead bad guy, and it feels really weird. And I feel we should be asking her how that happened. So we fight with the Children of Arkham and their leader. Their leader actually proves to be pretty capable and kicks our butt, and Selina has to save us. And she takes us back to her apartment and, bandages up our injuries, which aren't bleeding. That was really weird. We have no blood. We got an electricity wound and there's no blood, but we got bandages. I didn't really understand that. I see, me in this situation, I'm hey, can you go down to my car and get my spare outfit that I keep inside the car? Because, he has to have a spare outfit in the car, because it wouldn't make sense otherwise. But no, we're yeah, we're just going to stay here and in our underwear. And you can hook up with Selina and have a one-night stand with her. I didn't, because again, Harvey is my friend, and I don't just do that. I'm not interested in a hookup, and especially not with someone who's in a relationship with someone who also happens to be my best friend. But then we wake up the next morning, we're in our underwear, we have no spare clothes to change into, which again would not happen to me in this situation, because I would have my clothes in this apartment. And who should come over but Harvey? And yeah, when he sees us in our underwear, he jumps to a honestly pretty understandable conclusion and gets really upset and starts to kind of devolve into Two-Face even more, ending with him violently attacking the two of us. And I chose to go easy on him because, it's not his fault. He's dealing with psychological issues, so I can't hurt him. And this is another, thing where your choice doesn't matter. Even if you don't hook up with Selina, he'll still believe you did. But, it does make sense given the situation. You're not just, wearing normal clothes, you're in your underwear. I think any guy in that situation would think that. And the only defenses we can give are, it didn't happen. There's no option to, provide an explanation for why we're there in our underwear. So, like, I can't really blame him for not believing us. But yeah, the scene at the end where Harvey just breaks down and is like begging us not to leave him alone. I just wanted to stay with him so bad. I hate the fact that we have to let him leave. Like, I wanted to go after him because it's just like, it's just so sad. And yeah, we just let him go. Like Selena's not wrong when she says that he needs professional help. But, like, at the same time, I don't think the solution is just watching as he leaves. Like, we should have gone with him and been like, okay, what's your therapist's phone number? I'll drive you there. Like, but no, we just let him walk off. So then we have to go to a meetup with Oswald and do the whole thing with reading off the teleprompter or, you know, going rogue and being like, oh, this is all lies. He's part of the Arkham people or whatever. And I followed the teleprompter. Like, I was honestly expecting there was going to be something where it said something really nasty, but it was all fairly... It was all fine. Nothing I really had a problem with, so I went along with it for the sake of the company. Like, no need to make them hate me. And I really hated that we get drugged and forced to attack Oswald anyway, and somehow, again, nobody notices the thing on our face and arms. Like, we've clearly been drugged, but somehow we just end up thrown into Arkham or whatever. Oh, and it's Vicky who injects us, and this is another part where the sound, the voice cuts out, so she's like, I am, and then you don't hear anything, and I'm like, who are you? And apparently what she actually says is, I am the children of Arkham, which that doesn't really sound cool, but I guess because they didn't give the villain's name, they couldn't have her say that, but, so we attack Oswald, and we're probably not that broken up about it, you know, because he's not a great guy. And then the next episode is Guardian of Gotham, where we wake up in Arkham Asylum and realize it's not a great place. One of the guards lets two of our father's victims come in and beat the living daylights out of us. I really hate how everyone blames us for what our father did. Like, that's a real thing I don't like in stories, even if it makes sense, is when someone did something bad and they're like, you know, we could maybe go after them or hate them, but no, we'll go after their innocent child or friend. Like, I'm just trying to live my life. You don't even know me. So we're saved from the mean, nasty patients by John Doe, who beats the living daylights out of them and is obviously the Joker. And a little unstable, unsurprisingly, but he's a model patient, we are assured. That's what Dr. Leland says, so I'm sure we can trust her. And we enter the rec room, which is full of what I'm sure are Batman references, but I don't recognize pretty much any of these villains, except for that one giant guy that we beat up during the debate. Don't know anybody else. So the Joker helps to create a distraction so we can use the phone, asks for a favor. My choices thing here. He says he'll help us, but only if we grant him a favor. I chose to agree, because, I don't know, why not? Like, he can't make me do anything I don't actually want to do. And he creates a fight, and you can stop the fight or use the phone. I chose to use the phone. Like, I'm a nice person, but I need to get out of here. And I chose to call Commissioner Gordon instead of my lawyers, because I trust Commissioner Gordon. And he has Alfred come rescue us. And the Dr. Leland still thinks we're unstable, even though, like, we were totally drugged. And then that scene at the checkpoint with dealing with Harvey's people made me so angry. Because it's like, you guys aren't doing your job and the public's ready to beat us and the checkpoint people are going to let them beat us. I ended up just paying them off. Just because it's easier. I thought about, like, just ramming the barricade, but it's like, you know, let's not give them a legal reason to take us back into custody. So, after that, we do thankfully finally cure ourselves of the awful virus, whatever gas thingy that was making us act all weird. Would have been nice if we could have used that on Harvey. Like, we really should prioritize that, because he's getting increasingly unstable and doing all sorts of horrible things. So, We we end up going to Vicky's adoptive parents' home because it turns out Vicky is actually Vicky Arkham, Victoria Arkham, and so like her parents were apparently killed by our father, and of course we're getting blamed for that. So we go to her foster parents' house, and wow, she violently murdered them. Like, this is a surprisingly graphic scene, and it's like they did something. Like they were clearly abusing her. That's my first thought when you see just how badly she killed them. We find a boy hiding underneath the stairs. We never really learn who he is. I hope he's in the second season because I got questions. he beats up Penguin's drone and ends up saving us, so that's pretty cool. I was nice to the kid when we interrogated him. I didn't really try to ask him questions, I just comforted him, because this is a scared kid. I feel we should have made more effort to make sure he didn't see the bodies, though, but the fact that he barely reacted to them, again, makes me think that these kids are being abused. So we decided to go see Harvey, and I chose to go as Batman. Like, the choice thing is, like, you chose to intimidate him as Batman instead of risking his wrath as Bruce, and it's like, that's not quite my mindset. Like, I would have happily gone to see him as Bruce, but he just... I don't think he can see Bruce right now. Like, I think he just can't accept that Bruce is not his enemy. So I just felt it would be smarter to try and reason with him as Batman, who has saved his life twice. And then he detonates a bomb and kills a bunch of innocent people. And we leave. Like, granted, at least then the enforcer people showed up. But I still think we should be doing something to get this man some help, like grab a DNA sample. Let's just jump off the thing and like carry him back to the Batcave and get the DNA sample so we can get him the antidote for that drug. I mean, it won't completely cure his issues, but it would probably help a great deal. Oh yeah, we also save Gordon from being assassinated. I don't think he dies no matter what, though. So then we learn that Harvey is coming to attack our house while Penguin is hacking our tech, and we have to pick which one of them to go after. And it's like, me in a real situation, I would want to prioritize protecting my house, because I got stuff there, you know? But Bruce Wayne doesn't really have a life outside of Batman, so it's like, you know what? Bruce doesn't have anything that important, so we'll go after the Penguin. Especially since if Penguin hacks our tech, not only does he gain access to a lot of really dangerous stuff, but like we won't be able to put up as much of a fight as we would have normally, and that would be, you know, not good. And I kept dying during that stupid elevator QuickTime event because of the stupid crosshairs thing. I hated that. And that fight sequence, we were doing so much damage, I'm pretty sure we both should have been a lot more bruised up. It doesn't really make sense that we weren't. So, final episode, City of Light. And this is one of the differences in encounters and scenes. The scenes you get if you choose to stop Penguin or Two-Face in the last are completely different, because whichever villain you didn't take down, you have to take down now. But it's not just like, you're not getting the same scene. You're getting a completely new scene. So like, if you choose to stop Penguin in episode 4, you get one scene. If you chose to stop Two-Face and so you're stopping Penguin in episode 5, that's another completely different scene. So that is a little bit of variety, I guess. We're trying to stop Two-Face, but first we have to help the people at the police station. The commissioner dies saving us, even though he didn't really seem like super into us in the last scene for some reason. Like, they really were they even said in like the codex, like, oh, he trusts Gordon, but then it's like, he didn't seem like he trusted Gordon when he showed up at the Vale's house. Like, he seemed to really be against him because he let us there, even though he didn't let us there, we were there first. So, we help out the cops. Gordon is running around shooting people with a shotgun. It's pretty cool. And we go to our house where Harvey has hostages, including his poor assistant who has done nothing wrong. And he's just, everyone is against him. That's how he feels. And I've seen different ways you can handle this. I chose to try and get through to Harvey himself, because it's like, I know he's still in there. And so I managed to convince him to let the hostages go one by one. I have heard that apparently For the two hostages he does the coin flips for, I've heard that this is actually 50-50, whether the coin will land on heads or tails. So if you fail to convince him and he flips the coin, there is a 50% chance that the hostage he's holding will be killed. I do think that's pretty cool, even if it, I think, ultimately does not affect anything. So, because I chose to try and reason with him, and I did it successfully, he ends up coming to his senses and tries to take his own life, snatched his coin, chose to pocket it, and he broke down. And I told him that I had hope in him. So I am hopeful he'll recover. And since he doesn't even have the facial damages, that should help. Let's hope it's enough. And so after he gets taken off, we got poor Alfred, who still blames himself for everything that's happening. And I, of course, chose to reassure him, because how could anyone choose not to? And we're looking into Lady Arkham when we learn Selina has stolen something of ours, like a key or whatever, and we think she was just doing this to draw our attention. It's not really clear. I chose to say I saw her as more than a thief, and I hugged her goodbye, but I did not initiate any kind of romantic thing with her, because I'm still not into that. And so we parted on good terms, you know? Apparently she gets mad if you regard her as a thief or if you tell her you love her. Like, wow. But, and then, you know what happens? Freaking Lady Arkham / Vicky kidnaps Alfred and is, like, beating him up and stuff, and it's terrible. Although, he puts up a pretty good fight and, like, beats the dude with a pole cue. But they capture him and they're torturing him and they're beating him, and it's just... It's more of that, let's blame an innocent person for what someone else did. Only, like, double. Because they hate me for what my father did, and now they're blaming Alfred for that, and it's like, oh, we're gonna hurt Alfred to get to you, and it's so ridiculous. So we chase after them, and yeah, the Vales were abusing their foster children. It's almost a little too extreme, because they have, like, a hidden, like, cellar with a cell where they were chaining the kids up and beating them with belts. And it's just like, how did nothing not come of this? Like, first, just if you were being beaten that severely with a belt to the point where you were bleeding, like, wouldn't you need medical attention? Wouldn't you end up in serious, wouldn't you be, like, seriously injured? And, like, why didn't they run away or go to the police? Or, heck, even kill the parents sooner? Like, it's kind of baffling that they didn't. Because there's so much evidence. Like, anyone who saw that cell, the marks that would be left on these kids. And then, like, Vicky's gotta be in, like, her 20s, and we later see a photo of her with the boy that we saved, so, like, why did it take her this long to actually do anything about them? Why weren't they, like, her first victims or whatever? It just feels really weird. So, we end up, fighting a bunch of the inmates, which is probably not something we should be doing, but we're not left with much choice. Dr. Leland partially saves herself, so that's pretty cool. And, Vicky wants to know why we care so much about Alfred, and she's saying all this mean stuff about Bruce Wayne, because, like, how dare we defend him? He's a terrible person. And then she demands we take off our mask, or she's gonna hurt Alfred. And, like, of course I took off my mask, because that's Alfred. Alfred is in danger. We gotta protect Alfred. And she just cannot handle that we are Batman, because it's like, Bruce would never do that kind of stuff. He's a terrible coward. And she starts justifying her hatred of us almost immediately. We fight her, and kick her butt. We save Alfred, and we don't know what happens to her. She seemingly dies, but we don't see a body. They don't find a body. Also, why is there a crypt under the asylum? That's never addressed. So, Gordon is now the new commissioner, and we can decide to go to his thing as Batman or Bruce. I went as Bruce. Said I was gonna try and make Arkham better, because that needs to be a priority. I don't know why we can't just do that and fund the police, because we could do both. But, yeah. We're almost killed by I don't know, was it an ambulance or something? And we beat the dude up. And, oh yeah, John Doe's out of prison. Or out of Arkham. Arkham, prison, practically the same thing. But, yeah. So, that is the end of Season 1. I don't know how interesting it was listening to me babble on about my choices. I hope they delve into more of what's going on with some of these characters. Like, I hope the little boy shows up again. I hope we learn more about Lady Arkham. I mean, I know John Doe plays a bigger role in season 2, but I don't know about the other characters. So, I did have my enjoyment of this game. I plan to start season 2, The Enemy Within, probably tonight, honestly. But I definitely hope they fix the technical issues, because I'm going to be pretty ticked off if they haven't. But, so that's all for now. What did you think of the game? Did you experience the issues? What were your choices? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!